Welcome back to the second part of Arts in Italy. As a recap, we have gone through my experiences in Perugia, as well as the frescoes on Ceiling of Sistine Chapel in Lesson 6. In this lesson, we are going to start with my experiences in Bologna. Then we will take a look on the background of The Last Judgment by Michelangelo and The School of Athens by Raffaello Sanzio. After school suspension, I took a trip down memory lane, recalling my experiences about traveling. COVID-19 have changed our lives, but don't forget that every cloud has a silver lining. We will resume a normal life sooner or later. Today, I will take all of you to Bologna, a city located in the middle of Florence, Venice, and Milan in northern Italy. It is the capital of the region Emilia-Romagna and home to the oldest university in Europe, which is the University of Bologna. The porticos in Bologna are an important cultural and architectural heritage and have been declared an UNESCO World Heritage Site. Not only artists but also historians choose Bologna as the most beautiful city in Italy. When I was studying in Bologna and strolling around, I discovered that the porticos in Giorgio de Chirico's paintings are exactly the same to what in front of me. I felt like I was in the picture. Let us take a look on two more snapshots in Bologna. Bologna was the best place for me to read and think. There were a lot of students from different subjects. They loved to talk and discuss topics under the porticos. After some time, I began to fall in love with this city. Carnivals or exhibitions were held on Piazza Maggiore. When I arrived at Bologna, it was the chocolate days. You can see chocolate roses, pens, coffins, skulls, and dogs on your left-hand side. The Italian word carne means dogs. Carne piccolo means small dogs, and carne grande means big dogs. On your right-hand side, there are chocolate high-heel shoes, which you may mix it with a real one. There are also chocolates with nuts and in the shape of a cake. The chocolates can make your mouth water. There are different tastes of the chocolates, such as with milk, with pistachio, with coffee, or with orange. You may see some text with the Italian word specialità, which means speciality. In other words, they are the best products among the brands. I suffer from decidophobia while seeing all these specialitas. There are bar or tabaccaria on the main street of Bologna. A bar is a place for refreshments, such as providing food and a social place, while a tabaccaria is a small, quayside, convenience store serving different purposes, such as a cafe, tourist trinket shop, mini post office, and so on. We can find H&M and Apple Store in Bologna, just like in the other big cities, but the prices of Apple products seems to be more expensive than purchasing in Hong Kong. There are many macelleria, which means the butcher shop in Italian, in Bologna. Similar to Taste or City Super in Hong Kong, we can take the ticket, wait until the staff is available to help, and then pay at the cashier. Apart from macelleria, there are pasceria, the fish shop in Italian, and Negozione di frutta e verdura, the fruit and vegetable shop in Italian. My favorite cheese in Italy is called burrata. It is an Italian cow milk cheese made by mozzarella and cream. It is traditionally wrapped in the leaves. Its outer part is made by mozzarella, while the inner part is made by stracciatella and cream, providing a dual experience in between semi-hard to soft texture. Apart from cheese, there are lasagna and pies with different ingredients. There are different traditional snacks from Italy. On your left-hand side, there is arancini di riso, the traditional Sicilian rice balls filled with rice, saffron, and meat. On your right-hand side, there is olive ascolane, the fired olives stuffed with meat. Lastly, we have crocchette di patate, the crispy and golden potato crackers. They are usually served as a snack or as an appetizer. I have also seen this chicken in beers in an Italian party. This interesting dish has to be preserved for 2 days before serving. Let us go into the menu in Italy. Italians usually eat in different sections. Antipasti is the traditional course before a meal of a formal Italian meal, including cured meats, olives, pepperoncini, mushrooms, anchovies, various cheeses, and so on. Primi piatti is the first course of a meal, usually consists of a pasta dish, such as gnocchi, risotto, or pasta. Secondi piatti is the main course of a meal, usually consists of meat or fish. Cotoni is the side dish of salad or vegetables commonly served alongside the main course. Then we have dessert, or dolci in Italian, such as tiramisu. A complete Italian meal also includes vino, wine, or cafe, coffee, after the food. There are different types of coffee in Italy. When you ask for a cafe, it means you are asking for an espresso, which is a typical base coffee drink. Most of the other coffee drinks start from an espresso and add milk, cream, or other extras on top of it. There are standards for the dose of coffee. The pressure of the coffee making machine, the pressure of water inside, the temperature of water, the extraction time, the materials of the container serving, and the duration of drinking for an espresso. Espresso is a common drink in Italy, where Italians take at least 1 espresso per day. Some people like adding sugar or milk, while a plain espresso is my favorite. Caffè decaffeinato means decaffeinated coffee. Caffè doppio means a double shot of espresso. Ristretto means an espresso made with the same amount of coffee grounds but half the amount of water used. The taste is very strong and concentrate. Caffè lungo means long espresso. It is prepared by a single shot of espresso by adding more water. Compared to caffè doppio, which used double shot of espresso, caffè lungo is less concentrate. Macchiato is an espresso with a touch of steamed or frothed milk. Macchiato caldo means a touch of hot milk, and macchiato freddo means a touch of cold milk. Macchiatone is the large-sized macchiato with larger quantity of steamed, frothed milk being added. It is especially popular in northern Italian region of Veneto. Corretto means an espresso served with a few drops of grappa, Baileys, kombucha, or rum. Cappuccino is using the ratio of 1:1:1 of espresso, steamed milk, and milk foam. Cappuccino chiaro is with less coffee, and cappuccino scuro is with more coffee. Mochaccino is made of cappuccino, whipped cream, or milk foam and chocolate. Mochaccino is prepared by adding a layer of unsweetened cocoa powder to a shot of espresso and top it up with full-fat milk whipped into cream. Caffè latte means 1 part espresso, 2 parts hot milk, and just a little bit of milk foam. Latte macchiato means adding a layer of espresso on top of milk. Due to the large portion of milk, the taste of milk is very strong. Caffè shakerato is made by shaking together a long shot of strong espresso and ice. Metal shaker is used. The process is similar to making a cocktail. This is a very popular drink in summer. Caffè ginseng is a hot drink prepared by ginseng root extract mixed with coffee. It has a sweet nutty flavor. Caffè d'orzo is made by barley. At times, when real coffee was too expensive, this coffee filled the gap. Lastly, Caffè Pedrocchi is a classic drink in Padova. A mint cream and a thin layer of cocoa powder is added on top of the espresso. The coffee cannot be stirred while drinking. The mocha pot is as important as the types of coffee. It is a set of 3 separate parts, including the water tank to hold the water, the filter basket to hold the grounds, and the upper chamber to collect the bread. It brews coffee by passing boiling water pressurized by steam through ground coffee. It is my favorite way in drinking coffee. Coffee is prepared by putting the mocha pot on a cooking stove until it gets boiled. After talking about the food and coffee, We better do some exercise to burn fat. I love hiking in Bologna, and this is a picture taken in the countryside. This was my hiking buddy, Philly. When I looked at the plants and rocks, I thought of Matthew 6, verse 26 from Bible. Behold the floats of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns. Yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much better than they? This is why whenever I feel anxious, I went hiking to release stress. The nature is always there to remind me God is always here to be with me. Now we come back to Vatican City for Michelangelo's The Last Judgment. To start with, we'll briefly go through the historical background of The Last Judgment. In 1527, 6,000 Spanish soldiers, 14,000 German Landsleute and Italian mercenaries entered the city of Rome and began looting, slaying, and holding citizens for ransom. The mutinous troop rioted over unpaid salaries by Charles V, the Holy Roman Empire, and caused a huge damage to the city. The cause of the sack was due to power struggle in between Pope Clement VII, the spiritual head of the Catholic Church, and Charles V. After the sack was settled, Pope Clement VII asked Michelangelo to paint The Last Judgment as a confession to his sins. Michelangelo started painting at the age of 61. He painted from 1535 to 1541 for 6 years. As he was old and the society was different, we can observe a different use of colors and mood compared to his earlier painting of the creation of Adam. We can separate the painting into 2 parts. The red rectangle on the left-hand side indicates people going up to heaven, while the yellow rectangle on the right-hand side indicates people going down to the hell. The content comes from Revelation in Bible as well as Matthew 24, verses 29 to 31. From the verse, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the 4 winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Therefore we may estimate that the Son of Man is the one in the green rectangle, and the light behind him is the sins described in Matthew 24, verse 29. The Son of Man is facing his head down to the sinners to show his empathy. Now we move on to 4 saints in the paint rectangles. St. Peter is on the top left-hand side with a key. Referring to another painting from the Sistine Chapel, the painting visualized what was written in Matthew 16, verses 18 to 19, whereas Jesus gave Peter the keys of the kingdom of heaven and asked him to build his church. St. Catherine is on the bottom left-hand side with a wheel. The wheel is called a breaking wheel, whereas St. Catherine was tortured to death by breaking her bones on this wheel and bludgeoning to death. St. Bartholomew is on the top right-hand side with a faded skin. He was skinned alive, meaning that his skin was teared off one by one while he was still alive. St. Lawrence is on the bottom right-hand side with a great iron. He was being put on a heated great iron and barbecued to death. We can see all these saints are surrounding the Son of Man in this painting. Then we'll take a look on the angels below the saints. From Revelation 8 to 11, we know there are 7 angels with trumpets. When each trumpet sounds, there is a disaster on the earth. There are also angels holding 2 books. Each of them have the names of people being rescued or people with punishment. Lastly, we can see Michelangelo's visualization of the hell. Indeed, Gehenna appeared in Matthew, Mark, and Luke in Bible, which means the eternal fire, while Minos, who stands at the bottom right-hand corner, is the judge of the hell. After seeing the Last Judgment, Ecclesiastes number 12, verse 14 just came into my mind. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. What about you? What have come across your mind? Apart from Michelangelo, the School of Athens by Raffaello Sanzio is also a masterpiece in Renaissance period. The two figures standing in the middle of this masterpiece are Plato and Aristotle. Plato is the student of Socrates, the famous Greek philosopher, and he is the teacher of Aristotle. According to Plato, every human soul has three parts: the rational, spirited, and appetitive parts. The rational part loves logic, thought, and rational learning. The logical part is wise and able to make decisions that are just. The spirited part causes people to experience strong emotions, particularly anger and temper. The spirited part enables courage and passionate principle. When partnered with the logical part, both of them work in favor of righteousness and justice. The appetitive part is unable to resist appetites, including those for food, power, and sex. With the spirited part partnered with the appetitive part, both of them ignore the logical entirely and seek for pleasures. In Plato's theory, the three parts are located in different regions of the body. They are also correspond to three classes of a society, including the rulers, the military, and the ordinary citizens. His ideas can be found in his treatise titled Republic. Apart from the tripartite soul, Plato's allegory of the cave is well known in philosophy. The allegory imagines a group of people chained together inside an underground cave as prisoners. Behind the prisoners there is a fire, and between the prisoners and the fire are moving puppets and real objects. When the prisoners look at the wall before them, they believe the shadows of objects cast by the moving figures are real things. Their visible world is the whole world. The narrative goes on to question what would happen if one of the prisoners were forced to leave. How would the prisoners adjust what he sees? Would he believe what he sees? Would he see the same things he saw before when he returned to the cave? The allegory of cave is a symbolic representation of how human beings live in the world, contrasting reality with our interpretation of it. The allegory delves into philosophical thought of truth and how those with different experiences or backgrounds may perceive it. The allegory demonstrates conflicts between knowledge and belief, and what happens to a person once he has been enlightened. After Plato, his student Aristotle is famous for his quote, "Plato is dear to me, but dearer still is truth." The best students respect their teachers, but they don't 100% follow their teachers. Aristotle is well known for his theory of metaphysics. Metaphysics study the principles of all kinds of things. As the topic is quite complicated and out of our syllabus, we are not digging into the topic today. From the brief introduction to Plato and Aristotle, we know that Raffaello Sanzio is depicting the origin of Western knowledge and civilization in the School of Athens. Now we will take a look on a few more characters. On the top left-hand side, we can see the ancient Greek philosopher and mathematician Pythagoras. His contribution to the development of mathematics and Western rational philosophy is recognized, such as the Pythagoras theorem of a squared plus b squared equal to c squared. On the bottom left-hand side, we can see ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus. He was titled as the Reaping Philosopher due to his personality of always being alone. On the top right-hand side, we can see the ancient Greek mathematician Euclid. He was holding a compass to draw a circle on the ground, and he was being called the father of geometry. Finally, interesting as we know, Raffaello Sanzio painted himself on the bottom right-hand side. Lastly, we will briefly talk about the use of one-point perspective in this painting. One-point perspective is a drawing method that shows how things appear to get smaller as they get further away, converging towards a single vanishing point on the horizon line. It is a way of drawing objects upon a flat piece of paper so that they look three-dimensional and realistic. That's the end for today's lesson. We will go to Florence, Milan, and other cities in Italy next lesson for the appreciation of art and culture. See you!